What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the first episode of Betting the House, sponsored by the Alithio Network. I'm your host, Victor Simanonok, but everyone here calls me Sully. Let's do a little shopkeep first to explain the show a little bit before we jump right into all the bets. Like I just said, it's going to be a betting show. Tuesdays, we're going to focus mostly on Major League Baseball, the WNBA as of right now, and then when the season started up again, NBA and NCAA men's basketball. Thursdays, we're going to take a look at football and the NFL, along with college football, some hockey, and along with some UFC. All right. I think without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Let's start off with some baseball.
Before we start, Sully, let's just applause you for an amazing intro.
Yeah, dude. Welcome to podcasting, Sully.
Thanks. Was that facetious?
No.
Oh.
No. That was serious.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're going to start off with some baseball?
Yeah.
All right. What do you got?
Well, first, I want to say that we are in the final week of the regular season, so all the games I'm talking about are either for playoffs or to make some fucking money. Let's go. All right. Like I said, postseason starts October 1st, but tonight we've got a couple three-game series starting, like the Baltimore Orioles against the New York Yankees in New York at 6:05 tonight. You know, like, after missing the postseason last year, the Yankees finally seem to have their groove, whereas the Orioles are still struggling at the plate. Judge, Soto, Wells, and now Dominguez. This Yankees lineup is stacked. Probably one of the best, if not the best, in all of baseball heading into this postseason. The Orioles still have a way to clinch the AL's top wildcard spot, though, with a win or with a Royals/Twins loss. Regardless, the Orioles are going to the playoffs, but I don't think they're celebrating tonight because the Yankees win in front of their home crowd.
The Yankees aren't actually going to win the World Series, are they?
God, I hope not. Dude, that's why I didn't want to start off with this, because they're like everybody's least favorite team. You know, it's just, I don't know. I think they clinch it tonight. Yeah, that's my first Yanks money line, -162 against the Baltimore Orioles. Yeah. I won't talk about the Mets versus Braves yet because that's going to come later. Miami Marlins versus the Minnesota Twins. Again, 6:40 tonight. I have the Twins winning by 2.5 or more at +142. I don't have a lot of stuff to talk about in that game just because
You're good. Continue.
Miami is not doing well this season, and Minnesota's on the verge of making the playoffs. I think Minnesota gets it done. They win by 3. I've got the Mariners from Seattle in Houston against the Astros. The Mariners are barely alive in this playoffs. I think they're 4 games back from Houston in the AL West and 2 games out of the final wildcard spot. Assuming the Astros don't collapse, I think they're going to lock up the division title. But Seattle's not making it easy. You know, they won last night 6-1 against the Astros. Their pitcher Valdez, who's pitching tonight, has been on fire since the break, working deep into games, piling up strikeouts, and rarely giving up runs. Across the way, Gilbert hasn't been as good, but because of the fact that he can deliver strikeouts, he should really limit this run-scoring ability of an Alvarez-less offense. I'm taking the under in this, under 7.5 at -138. I think it's a steal, easy money. Finally, last game of the night, before I get into the parlay of the day, we have the Padres at the Dodgers in LA, 9:10 tonight Central Time. Padres only need a tie to win the division, but a 3-game sweep would mean that the Dodgers, who have ended every day of the 2024 regular season in first place, would officially be a wild card team, meaning they'd lose their one spot and dropped to 3, I believe. All right. With all of the baseball done for the day, I'm going to get into my parlay of tonight, I guess, rather. Mets at Braves in Atlanta. Mets have a chance to clinch a postseason spot here tonight. But, what could possibly go wrong? It's not like they have a history of epic collapses, and not one of those being against the Braves at the end of 2022 in the second to last series of that season.
That's for the Mets.
Oh,
Not for you.
I was like, oh, just getting shit on. Much of the Mets team that's currently on there was on the Mets in 2022, so they're looking for revenge. But I still think the Braves win this with a -1.5 run line at +146. Well, let's then move on to the second game in this parlay. I've got the Rockies money line at -104, and here's kind of why. Despite both of the teams having really disappointing seasons, it's nothing new for Colorado, whereas St. Louis is used to and expects somewhat to make the playoffs every year. So that's got to be really demoralizing for them. I wouldn't be surprised if the Birds limp to the finish of the season. Added on to the fact that the Rockies are playing at home also.
You do also have to remember, sorry for interrupting you, Sully, but this is Charlie Blackmon's last baseball games. Like, they have a very big reason to play and win these games, although they might not make the postseason. But there is a need to kind of go out with a bang here.
Fair. Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I also think games that are more meaningless are easier for the home team than opposed to the road team,
You're very true. You're very correct.
Especially with what's his name? They've got Feltner on the mound tonight, in his 3 starts this month. He's had a 1.96 ERA, and he's won all 3 games. Added on to the fact that he was on the mound at Coors Field last Tuesday, and in 6.2 innings pitched, he gave up 1 run. I think they have a good value for being the underdogs in this one at -104. The Rockies. And then the final game of this 3-leg MLB parlay of the day will be the Diamondbacks hosting the San Francisco Giants. I have the Diamondbacks winning with the run line at -1.5 and the odds being +136. They're the defending National League champs. They're doing everything to play and return to the postseason, whereas San Francisco has nothing to play for, being 10 games back. I think this whole story will get clearer when Webb touches the rubber tonight, because he hasn't been great in his last this last month rather. He's got a 6.43 ERA, whereas completely other side of the spectrum, the Diamondbacks righty Brandon Pfaadt, 7 innings, 1 run, while striking out 12 people last Thursday against the Brewers. I think it's a hard one for the Giants to somewhat even compete with. That's why I've got them, the Diamondbacks, winning by 2. All right, well, that's it for today's baseball. I won't run through all of those like that deep again for tomorrow, but tomorrow, here are my odds. I think Houston wins by Houston -1.5 at +136 odds. Orioles money line again at 136 odds. I don't think the Braves sweep. I think they win tonight, but they lose tomorrow because the Mets, they want revenge. They're out for blood. Yeah. And then again, I have the Padres versus Dodgers, but this time the Dodgers money line -115. I don't think Padres got the sweep. All right, well, that's enough of baseball for a day at least. let's move on to the WNBA. Game 2 of the first round starts tonight. We've got the number 1 seed New York Liberty taking on the 8th seed Atlanta Dream, 6:30 tonight. Honestly, I think that the best odds in this case, single, would be Breanna Stewart double-double at plus 100, even odds. That's an easy way to just, make your money back and double it. Alternatively, if you're looking to parlay it, I would add the New York minus 12.5 spread at minus 112 odds, meaning the total parlay for that one game would be 252. The second game of the night, Seattle Storm versus the Las Vegas Aces at 8:30. I have Wilson dropping 25 and 10, meaning 25 points and 10 rebounds at minus 104. And I have honestly parlayed it with the Aces money line for a total value of 141. Easy, quick, easy. You're not going to make billions, but at these kind of odds, you can definitely bet the house. All right. I also looked into parlaying both because, I love the odds on both of them. 756. Keep that in mind. All right. Well, because the NBA season is starting in about, give or take a month, I figured I would do a little bit of NBA futures betting. So I cooked this parlay up yesterday night. I've got OKC in the finals, OKC winning the finals at plus 700. They've got Shea, Chet, Jalen. They traded Giddey and landed Caruso to increase their D, as well as signed Isaiah Hartenstein on the interior. I think they got a good vibe going. Boston, still favorites at plus 300. I just don't know. After watching those Olympics, which was pitiful, I don't know if the two stars on the Celtics have what it takes again. I guess regular season MVP. I've got Luka, obviously. He's the best odds at plus 350. He dragged the Mavs to the NBA Finals a couple months ago. Now that he's got the confidence and the experience of such a deep playoff run, and with more support arriving, it looks like this might be the year he grabs that MVP.
I don't know.
Really? I also had Jokic.
I was going to say,
yeah, I was debating between the two.
If you look at it, Jokic is doing more for his team than what Luka is doing for the Mavs. Unfortunately,
yeah.
You have, Kyrie Irving with him. You have a few other guys that can help him shoot, move the ball around. Jokic has those guys, but he is the one facilitating the ball still as a center.
Fair.
We don't have that in a league, and with him coming out of third out of the Olympics this year, I think he has a want for it even more. Like, yes, he's not going to celebrate this win as hard as he celebrated his Olympic win or any of his race wins, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know if Luka really has it this year. He needs to step up his defensive game and stop whining as much. I think for calls, it's not as easy as it was, 5 years ago to get his calls. But I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. I want to know what the Jokic odds are compared.
They are, so Doncic, Luka was 350. Jokic is 400 as of, I believe, last night.
That's wild.
So yeah, I'm sure they will move more as this last month gets into place and we get into the first leg of the regular season. And even during the regular season, they'll still continue to shift. All right. Rookie of the year. This was another tough one. I chose Reed Shepherd just because of the fact that it sounds like he's going to be needed at the beginning of his career rather than any sort of development. It sounds like they need him to step in right now. especially because he sounds like he'll have the ball in his hands a lot. So with that, I think if he can put up a decent amount of assists and his scoring numbers, I think he wins that as lead guard off the Rockets bench. Defensive player of the year. This was probably one of the easiest ones I've ever done. Victor Wembanyama. He took the NBA by storm last season, his rookie season. And it was really a question of, with Rudy Gobert in there also winning last year, it was a question of, he's not going to win one. It's just a question of when and how many, if he wins it this year, it would actually make him the first player in 40 years to win the Defensive Player of the Year with fewer than 3 years experience. And if they don't make the playoffs, he will be the first ever to win on a non-playoff team. Again, I have it Wembanyama on most improved. I think, it's going to be... He already had an incredible rookie season, like I said, but I think after that, he now knows what he's in for. He's been working for it. He's less stick figure-y and more, let's get down to business, Sixth man of the year. Again, tough. The top 4 choices were Malik Monk at plus 550, Naz Reid plus 650, Josh Hart at 1,000, Alex Caruso 1,200. I don't understand, though, why Malik Monk is the favorite. He's constantly the favorite, but after a terrible last March and season-ending injuries, killed his bid. I'm just wondering why. He's a streaky shooter, has a lot of slumps. Yeah. Additionally, I think he's going to see his time decrease because the Kings traded for DeMar DeRozan in the offseason. Definitely limiting his minutes and touches.
That is why he's going for sixth man of the year, though. I mean, yes, he did have an injury. Yes, he's going to be coming off the bench probably as, a number 1 or 2, I would assume, just to fill in those roles and give the starters, De'Aaron Fox a break. But for a backup point guard, I don't even want to say backup point guard, but coming off the bench point guard, last season, yeah, with the injury, still 15.4 points, almost 3 rebounds a game, 5 assists. That is still a really good stat line. I mean, yes, he's going to move the ball around. Yes, he's going to miss some shots, but he's not going to be the MVP, obviously. He's going for sixth man. I mean, Naz Reid, I think, is the other really good choice.
Yeah, I was about to bring it up.
He's just such a loved player in Minnesota. I mean, there was the whole thing last year about people getting his name tattooed for So I do think the sixth man this year is going to be a general toss-up. Caruso, I mean, he's got a new squad too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to kind of see before we can kind of solidify my pick personally, but I do think Naz Reid or Malik Monk would be.
Yeah, I tossed and turned. I had Naz Reid too, just because he's running it back with Minnesota. He's very likely to see a similar role than he had last year. One thing I'm wondering about is how. So he got more playing time last season because Karl Anthony Towns got hurt. So what do you think that, I guess, does in terms of his limiting him?
I don't know. I mean, Cat is a very strange player in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. He's not a very consistent player. He does have his hot streaks. He's a very good defensive player when he is, of capability. You got Ant with him now, who is just a menace on both offense and defense. I don't know. It's a hard pick.
No, I'm struggling over it. I might go back and forth with that. We'll see as the weeks go on before the regular season starts. Yeah, so together, let me read off this parlay. So it was Oklahoma City winning the finals at plus 700, Doncic winning the MVP at plus 350, Shepherd winning Rookie of the Year at plus 600, Wembanyama winning the Defensive Player of the Year and Most Improved Player of the Year, and then Naz Reid. Defensive Player of the Year, Wembanyama winning at minus 160 odds, plus 650 for his Most Improved Player, and then Naz Reid winning Sixth Man of the Year at plus 750. I was looking this up last night, and a $10 parlay would win you $105,290. So naturally, I put $1 on it. Yeah. There's not many other games on today with that going on, so that's really all I've got for today, gentlemen and ladies. Don't forget to tune in for more this Thursday, 11 a.m. on the Alithio Network YouTube page. The audio will also be released shortly after every live ends, so check it out on Spotify and Apple Pods or wherever you get your audio streaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube or smash the 5-star ratings and follow on Spotify and Apple Pods. See you Thursday. Thanks for coming out. Have a good night.